Hello, this is your overview video for lesson 2.3, linear functions in e-learning. As always, the first slide is for you to read through and kind of get an overview of what this whole lesson's about. We are focusing on linear functions. Those are your straight line functions. Okay, page 2. Page 2 starts with definitions of an intercept. If you need a visual of this video, you want to play it and it will show you a visual of what an intercept is and how to find the x and the y intercepts. There's a lot of definitions, so we're going to kind of switch over to the study guide. On the study guide, it kind of gives you a little focus here. So an intercept is where the line you are graphing intersects or crosses the axes of the coordinate plane. The y-intercept is where the line you are graphing crosses the y-axis, and the x-intercept is where the line you are graphing crosses the x-axis. Okay, moving on. Okay, that's a nice little overview. You can click here if you need any examples of what that would look like. All right, page 3 dives into slope. So we've got the definition and then we've got the types of slope on this page. So this video will kind of give you an overview of visual. So if you're a visual learner, click on here and it'll help you kind of remind yourself what slope is. And the big thing you want to focus on is this right here, that rise over run. It's important. Hopefully you remember that from last year. And then you can click on this. And that gives you a different visual for how we get the slope. So moving down, so we start on the left, we count how many spaces down and then how many spaces over. That's your rise and your run. So it's 2 down and 1 over. That would be -2 over 1 or a -2 slope. Okay, and then we talk about the types of slope here. So looking back at the study guide, the slope is the ratio of vertical change, which is your rise, to the horizontal change, which is your run. So hopefully just a quick refresher, vertical is this way, horizontal is this way. Okay, always remember, slope is rise over run. So you can write it rise over run if that helps. And then you want to go through and it describes or try and find a way to put into words what we just talked about of how you found that slope of the counting. Okay, so the red tabs, we're talking about the types of slope. So a positive slope would look like this. This is the example on the website. And the sketch, it would go like this. The why is it happening? Positive run or positive rise, you could say. It's traveling up, stuff like that. The negative slope would look like this. Okay, and that would travel this way. All right, the y, when you have a negative rise, okay, it's traveling down. And that's kind of how, or what they're getting at for the y. Moving on. Okay, a zero slope, the numbers would look something like this. Or, okay, the sketch of that graph looks like this. That's your horizontal line, has a zero slope. Okay, the y is because it has no rise. All right, and zero slopes, it's important to remember that they create horizontal lines. Okay, undefined slope would look like this. Still dealing with a zero, but a different location. Okay, a zero on the bottom, you actually can't do that. So that creates a line like that, the vertical line. The reason that it has this is because it actually, what they call it is an infinite rise and no run. Okay, the bigger thing is that it creates a vertical line. Okay, So those are the quick overview. You want to try and write those down in your notes. Pause the video and go back if you need to. Fill in the study guide if you have it. If not, a piece of paper. But understanding the difference between positive, negative, zero, and undefined slope is important to know for this lesson. Okay, so strategy to find slope when you're looking at a graph. You count the slope of the line starting with a point on the left. This way, the run, or the denominator, will always be positive. You want to keep the slope in fraction form. All right, so what that means is then they give you a bunch of try-its. Okay, so they give you the opportunity, and then you can, on the computer, you kind of want to count how many up and how many over. And there's a spot right at the bottom of the page 3 section for you to write your answers of what you think it is. If you want to check, you pretty much just have to click here and it'll give you the answer. And then you want to click through the try-its until you're comfortable. And that's page 3. Page 4 starts talking about slope-intercept form, which will hopefully start sounding familiar soon. There's a way to kind of visually see slope-intercept form. They talk about the two pieces you need for slope-intercept form. One is the slope right here, and the other one is the y-intercept. Okay, so we've got the y-intercept. Hopefully these letters sound familiar. Your M and your B. So reading through all this stuff, it gives you some examples. But moving back to the study guide, here's a spot to try it. Okay, let me squeeze that in a little bit. So slope-intercept form is a special way of writing the linear equation where the y variable is isolated, which means by itself, on one side of the equation. So we talk about y being by itself. Slope-intercept form is written using the general form y equals mx plus b. The b represents the y-intercept. The m represents the slope. And so here's one example where 2, I get the pen tool working, sorry guys. 2 is your slope, and 1 is your y-intercept. It's important to remember that x is not the slope. The number in front of it is. So hopefully that'll help you refresh your brain. 4. And then the bottom part of slide or page 4 that you have are 2 examples for you to try. So there's a spot in your study guide or just on a piece of paper. The first thing you want to do is you want to write this on your piece of paper and see if you can get the y by itself. If you don't remember how, it will bring you through and give you the steps. And there's 1 and here's 2. So you want to try those on your own. If you're really struggling, click on here and it'll give you the steps. You want to write them down, and then you want to try and identify which one is the slope and which one is the y-intercept. Okay, so the spot to do that is right here. So you can write down the 2 that they gave you and then follow the steps through. Then what happens on page 5 is that they give you some more time to try it. Okay, so again, we have a little video to remember how to graph using the y-intercept form. And then if you click here, it gives you a way to try it. Something that might be a little bit easier, especially if you have the study guide, is to try it right here on the study guides because you have the graph for you. So the first equation was y equals negative 1/2 x minus 1. So if you remember anything from last year, and if not, just kind of pay attention. You always start with the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is -1. On this y-axis, you put your first point at -1. The next and all the other points come from the slope. So we've got our b is here, this is our m, and remember that this is a -1, so this means down 1 and over 2. So from here, I go down 1 and over 2, and that's shows me the location of my next point. Down 1 and over 2, down 1 and over 2, down 1 and over 2, 1. And then you can keep going as much as you need. If you want to go backwards, you follow the directions backwards. So it's up 1 and left 2, up 1 and left 2. And then once you feel like you have enough points, you can connect them into a line. When you're done with that, technically this line keeps going, so don't forget your arrows and don't forget to label. Why? You label it with however it's given to you. In this case, it's already in y equals mx plus b format, so you want to keep it that way. Okay, the second one is y equals 4x minus 4. Don't forget when you see a whole number for a slope that there's always a 1 there, and that will help you. So that's when you want to try on your own. If you get stuck, the answer, you can check your answer on the eLearning. Okay, moving back. All right, so there's a place to try 1 and 2. Next slide. Slide 6 talks about writing linear equations and functions. What it's focusing on is that linear equations are written like this: y equals mx plus b. If they call it a linear function, very little difference. That's where the function notation comes in, f of x instead of the y. And that's pretty much it. The only thing you need to know are linear equations with an undefined slope functions. No, they are not. The reason why is on the slide. Okay, so they talk about it in these examples. Okay, so you want to kind of keep going through and looking for them. And then here we go. Since a vertical line is not a function, a linear function cannot have an undefined slope. So vertical lines aren't functions because of the undefined slope. Okay, page 7. Pretty much the advice is to kind of scroll down and look through these triads. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to click on the triad, and then you want to scroll down here and you want to read through these. This says a pool keeps a constant volume of 15,000 gallons. You look through the 4 graphs, which one would look constant? You check by clicking and dragging it over. If it's right, it'll literally kind of suck in, and then it'll give you a new one. Okay, so that's what you want to. That's what you're going to do to kind of check through these. The second one says a pool containing 8,000 gallons of water is filled at a rate of 500 gallons per minute. This one says a pool containing 20,000 gallons of water is emptied at a rate of 200 gallons per minute. And then an empty swimming pool is filled at a rate of 125 gallons per minute. Again, if you get it wrong, so if I go like this and it's not right, it just throws it back. And it will even give me a little hint up here to help me get the right answer. So this is a nice one to try to see if you're understanding slope kind of described in words. Moving on. Okay, so this is a spot for practicing. So for each one, you're going to find the slope of the graph shown below. Now you can't always write on it, so you kind of want to use like your mouse and kind of hover over it a little bit. And you want to try and count your rise and count your run, and then see which one it is. Click on it, submit it. It will let you know if you got it right. You use the next to keep going. If you want to start all over again, you restart. There are 9 examples. Do as many as you need to start feeling like you got this. So do 1, do all 9, do 4. That's up to you guys. Slide page 9 is a nice overview of the review. You kind of want to just read through it and see how you're doing. And then once again, you can go back through this video. You can go back through these pages as many times as you need to feel ready for the quiz. If you're stuck on anything, that's where you email, you contact your teacher, you ask a question in class so that we know what more you need to start feeling more confident with this. I hope that helped, and good luck on your quiz.